For so long, as we were talking about solar, only people of certain means would even consider it.
Solar for All is a key initiative of the district, which requires us to serve 100,000 homes with access to and the benefits of solar by 2032.
And we didn't presume we knew how to do that.
And one of the lessons learned through this innovation phase is it is a very complex undertaking.
And so we want to learn from these solar developers. What did they think was going to work? And then what did they find out didn't work? Then we'll know how to make the future investments to get the greatest gains to meet our goals.
It's so important for DC to represent American values when it comes to doing our part to fight against climate change.
And so sometimes you need government money and also direction, perhaps leadership, to move us forward.
We wanted to inject creativity. We wanted innovation in being able to install solar at large scale through single-family homes as well as multifamily buildings, office buildings, just trying to unlock the roofs that we needed to be able to achieve the goals of Solar for All.
So right now, we're really focused on implementation and construction. And in terms of lessons learned, we've seen that rooftops are generally the easiest types of solar systems to build. Canopies and carports and even ground mount systems are not so easy. Larger systems that are on the ground just are not necessarily welcome in many communities, especially in places that have not seen anything like this before.
Some of the challenges that we've already had with Solar for All have been around zoning for the city. We have something called community solar, meaning you generate solar on top of a roof, and then you share it with folks that don't live under that roof, but you share it with other households. We didn't realize that the zoning board would view that same solar array two different ways. And they said, well, you know what, if you generate solar for someone else, you have to go through a whole process to get a variance or an exception. This would have slowed everything down dramatically. So we went in and got a text amendment.
We ended up extending most of the grants to a full 24 months. So I think just the time to get everything done and just understanding the various permitting, interconnection, zoning, all of the different agencies, that just took more time than was initially anticipated.
You should have all heard from your grant managers so that we can continue to help you along with understanding where permitting is with various agencies.
In Washington, D.C., when you think about it, it's a very environmentally conscious city. So the renewable energy portfolio standard that's imposed on the regulated utilities here is very high. On the other hand, D.C. is basically a city-state. There's not that much land compared to wide open fields in most jurisdictions. And so there's a challenge there, but also it really affects the economics. Because if your goal is to make sure that you're giving as much energy as possible to low-income residents around the city at no cost, you need to be able to afford that under your economic plan. And the high price of SRECs for many of us is what makes the difference between projects that work and projects that don't work from a financial standpoint.
And one idea that we had was for DOEE to look into how projects will use SREC proceeds in the future to reinvest in more projects.
Right now, federal incentives are really good, district incentives are really good. Those things won't last forever. So we have to start planning to scale up very quickly in the next couple years.
By 2032, we know we need to install at least 300 megawatts of solar across the district. So we will be focusing on community solar, maximizing capacity, and we want to have the industry just focus on building capacity across the district. Every single installation counts, every megawatt, every kilowatt that we install will count towards this ultimate goal.
There's still a lot of questions that kind of remain as far as what will work and what won't.
It's a new frontier. Each city in America is having to figure that out.
One of the benefits of this great Solar for All cohort is, in some ways, misery loves company. We all get together and we talk about the issues and the problems. And it's comforting to know that it's not just us, that these are hard projects. And we're all going first in this, and we're all creating as we go. The environment really does need people to think in innovative ways, to think broadly, to really double down and do everything we can to support the environment. But another equally important challenge is to support our low-income communities.
So what we've experienced in implementing Solar for All is that 2,000 families have taken advantage of it. And what we've seen is they've been able to reduce their utility bills by 50%. What we also know is that we are training our residents for good paying jobs in solar. We talk a lot about how everything that our government and our administration is focused on is creating more pathways to the middle class for DC residents. The Solar for All helps get us there.
Solar for All is just a piece of a greater effort and initiative to be smarter, to be greener, and to try to preserve the planet and preserve the people that need it.